First wanted to title this one just for the fellas, but I gotta give it up to the ladies too because we both male and female can suffer from this complex. Um, I suffer and have suffered, and I'm not saying suffer like grueling, but it's an issue that I've dealt with since I was a child, and I'm just gonna keep it real since I'm wearing the shirt. And it also was my competition name, my athletic name. You know, my mom named me Superman, but I've always suffered from a Superman complex, meaning that I've always helped and poured out more than I've ever done for myself. You know, and it's something that with age and time it becomes an issue, and it can be a very daunting and bad issue because you'll give so much and pour so much out, and then when you look around you have nothing left for yourself, and sometimes it burns that person up on the inside and hurts that person more. We all are maybe familiar with people who caretake for people, whether they're elderly or they're suffering from something, an illness or an injury or something like that. But they always tell you the person who does the caretaking usually is broken down too, because they're giving so much of themselves that they don't usually don't pour back into themselves. And even at this age, this newly age of 46, I fight every day to try to take care of myself and care for myself more than I have. And I'm putting this that video and I'm titling it "You're Enough" because, man, this year is the year. I mean, I've seen it in premonitions, I've seen it in dreams, I've seen it in visions. This is the year for people to really take care of yourself and other people around you that are taking care of themselves. If you guys are all moving in the same way, you'll build together, you'll grow together. Everyone will be fruitful and happy. And we have to you have to do that because over time with age, I've dealt with things and suffered with things eternally. Yeah, outside, you guys, yeah, whatever. But I've suffered with things eternally. I've had issues eternally since I was a child, to the point where doctors and physicians would send me to other doctors and physicians and want to know, like, what is on this kid's mind? And they would ask my mom, like, how is he living? What is going on in his life? And it, have a normal life. It was as much as it could be normal, but I harness everything. I wanted to make my mom's life better at 6 and 7. I wanted to, do things for my grandparents at 6 and 7. I wanted to change the world at 6 and 7. I suffered from dreams that would tell me things that would come in the future. It's like there's so much. My eyes suffered from creative things that, as a child, you didn't know how to let out and talk about. So over time it grew and grew and grew and grew, and then you tend to have things inside that bother you, and how you combat it with a person like myself, and I know a lot of people have. You help others. You give out. 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 And you also sometimes you'll spend a lot of time alone so that you can just recharge. But you give out. You give out. You give out. And then before you know it, you need. And not that you want, you need. And it's a thing that I know it may be hard for a lot of us because we've lived so long. I mean, like I said, I'm newly 46, and I mean, years. This is decades and decades upon decades, so it's like it takes time to step back a little bit and then move forward with that one step that's going to turn into 5 steps. Pardon my microwave. But we also have to remember too that everyone's journey and destiny is their journey and destiny. So if I'm the one that's jumping out every morning and giving everybody water and bread, what if it's their destiny and their journey to walk a mile or 2 miles or 4 miles to get their water and bread so that they can get their lesson and they can get their blessing? What if I'm blocking their blessing? What if I'm blocking my own because I need to be sitting and doing something else or doing something else? You gotta think about that. You may think that, that being overzealous to do for everybody and help everything is making things a better way, but sometimes just because you're moving don't mean you're doing things the right way. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Peace. Fight for your life, and remember, you are enough. You are enough.